You believe that Giannis is a player that could play in any era?
Yes, why wouldn't he?
Do you believe that if Giannis Antetokounmpo played in the 1970s, he could score 250 points in a game?
Are we being serious here, or are we
Well,
just?
this is a quote from LeBron James on the Pat McAfee show.
Well, no, no,
He
no, no.
says, "You
I'm
trying to
not.
tell me
No,
Giannis wouldn't be able to
hold
play an
on,
NBA game in the
hold,
70s? Giannis would have 250 points in a
hold.
game in the
Okay,
70s." Obviously,
okay,
a slight
hold on.
exaggeration. Well, I hope a slight exaggeration. But I'm surprised you didn't see that coming
Let's let, let
from I
let's
teed this up from the start of the episode.
let's put things into context. First of all, first of all, if we took how we play today with the equipment and all of the things that we had and just transformed it back into the 70s, you would have a person that would look completely out of place.
Yeah, they pull an
Because
iPhone out of their pocket
no,
and
no,
everyone will be like,
no,
"What the hell is this?"
no one would be doing step throughs. Okay. There wouldn't be a such thing as a 5-out offense. There wouldn't be the equipment, and put it like this. I can assure you this, just by the equipment alone, he wouldn't be running as fast as he's running now. Okay. There were no Nike sneakers with cushion on the bottom. Okay. The basketball would feel a little different. The travel would be a little different. The food and all of these things would be a little different. There's no training. Look how Giannis has built up his body. Do you think here's the thing? All of the things that enhance the game today has evolved to give you how it looks today. If I gave Bill Russell and these guys the same training, the same equipment, access to film, and all of these things, oh, the game would have been different. So if you're just telling me I'm just gonna allow someone to train in 2025, put them in 1970, and play the way that the game looks today, if that's what you're telling me, okay. I was in the 1970s. Well, that wasn't happening. Okay. So let's get that out. Whatever was said was said. I'm not taking these things out of context. I'm not into shock TV or shock
Yeah,
whatever.
I don't know. Like, so they
But let me
released
let
this
me
clip. I'll just give you
let
the
me
context. I'll give you the context. They released this clip before the full show comes out in a few hours' time from now when we're recording, just for context. I
mm-hmm.
don't know if he's being serious.
And
I
so I'm
don't
saying
know if he's being
Mo,
obviously he's exaggerating, but I don't know. Sometimes I think like well, he really wants to say that he would score 250 points in the series, but he don't want to say that. So he's gonna say Giannis would do it instead. That's how I'm hearing it. Like he wants to really what
I
say what you
saw
really
I
feel.
saw Giannis in Greece. I saw Giannis in Greece. I saw Giannis as a young player when he came here. And I've given him credit for what he's done, how he transformed his mindset,
Absolutely. It's an
how
amazing
he
story.
worked on his game, how he continues to add new things to his game. More importantly, you can see physically what he did to his body to be able to play the level of physicality, and how he's been able to maintain and shoulder the responsibility. Now, remember, Mo, if he were playing in the 1970s, there was no such thing as ISO basketball.
Well,
Okay. 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 There was no such thing as 5-out offense in
this
the
is
way
what
that
I
they
was
do
gonna
it.
say. Like the
And,
spacing that Brook Lopez affords for Giannis to do what he wants. First of all, if Giannis played in the 70s, he'd be a center. He wouldn't be able to be the power forward that he is like this, the way that he plays. And then
and
second of
and
all,
and
the
we saw Giannis in the 70s. His name was Wilt Chamberlain. We saw him. This is what's amazing to me is everyone thinks that the world just started. We saw him in the 70s. His name was Wilt Chamberlain. That's what we saw. What's the difference? What's the difference?
well, I have a point to make that I think people won't like. The way the game was officiated, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, the way the game was officiated back then, I think Giannis would get called for a whole lot of travels and a whole lot of carrying if he played this style of basketball in the 1970s.
Mo, this is the problem. Sports is only played now.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. You can't put a guy from
Trying
now in the
to
70s.
trying to s- put someone in a different timeline with different rules. It's not happening. These are conversations that are just fun to have. You put a clip and then you put it here and then everyone interject. Okay, I'm not going for that. Whatever was said, it was said. I lived in the 70s. I lived there. My parents once or twice a year would take me to Cobo Hall in Detroit, Michigan to watch an NBA game. I saw an NBA game as a kid in the 70s. I can remember my mom and dad once a year we'd save up well they would save up to take me to a game at Cobo Hall in Detroit. I was there. I some of us are qualified to make that call. We were there. I was a kid. I remember going there. I remember going there when I was like 10, 11, 12 years old in the late 70s. I remember taking my dad would take us to a game, whatever, once or twice a year. I remember watching those games. No, no. Okay. Now, do I think he would be a really good player? Yes, I do. You know why I think he'd be a really good player? Because when you are an elite talent, it doesn't matter what era you play in. Do I think he would compete? Yes. Do I think the way that they play, knowing very well that a 7 foot power forward guy dribbling the basketball in that era, that wasn't happening, Mo. Okay. Do I think if you put a lot of these players in that era with their style, thinking that they're going to shoot threes? No, there were no threes. And that guys are just going to be shooting fadeaway jump shots? No, it's not happening. That's not how the game was played. That's not how the game was taught. Those weren't the offenses systems that they were accustomed to playing with at that particular time. But if you just want to play the magical game of just saying, I'm just going to magically put somebody in the 70s from the year 2025 and then allow them to play while everyone else is just looking around going, oh, who is this guy? Okay, that's a fun game, but that's fantasy. Those are fantasy sports. Some of us played in the 70s and in the 80s. We saw Connie Hawkins. We saw Spencer Haywood. We saw these players. Giannis isn't a new player that's never been seen before. We've seen these level of athletes. Believe it or not, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Nate Thurman, Wilt Chamberlain, these guys were elite level athletes. Bill Russell. I know we think we're the first ones to do it. Though people were dunking, they banned dunking in college because Kareem was that good.
I,
Okay.
I,
So all of these things that you're saying, they're fun to say, but Mo, it's like some of us were there.
I have a question. Um, and I thought about this a fair amount, maybe more than a
Okay.
reasonable person should think about this.
Okay. All right.
If I was a coach of the Bucks, right? Not the head coach, if I'm like a development coach, whatever.
Okay.
I would just spend all day, every day getting Giannis to practice the skyhook
For what? Why?
to score the basketball. It's an unstoppable move. With him and his frame and
Uh,
his athleticism, if
yeah,
he mastered that move
you're,
in
you're, you're
any
losing
era,
you're losing the context of why the skyhook was in the first place. It- it- the real discussion is what's the difference between a trainer and a coach? A coach is concerned with five players in the team, and the trainer is only concerned with one.
yes.
Okay. This is now we have trainers influencing the game. We are concerned about the team. The skyhook, one of the reasons the skyhook was because of what I said earlier. He was not allowed to dunk. They passed a rule that said he has such an unfair advantage that we're going to take away dunking. So if we want to develop another way to score, just take away dunking from the NBA. Oh, is that why Wilt Chamberlain had the finger roll? That's why they call him the Big Dipper. Some of these guys are so good, it's hard to even fathom. Well, Giannis is so good, we got to change the rules, or else we'll never be able to play a game against them. That's basically what they did for Kareem. Okay, do you understand? Do you understand?
No, I understand. I know what
Okay.
happened. I
Okay.
know what
Okay.
happened.
Well, if we know
This
what
is not
happened,
new.
then because Kareem was so dominant.
Okay, but even when they were allowed to dunk, he was still using the skyhook.
Oh, okay. Mo, in order for us to develop this level of player, we have to have a system in play that would encourage players to figure out how to play the game the way the game was played back then. You're not playing from the post. You don't do that anymore.
Okay,
Let's move on.
but this is what I'm saying. Why not? Like, we saw a guy
I'm
in
gonna tell you why.
Kareem.
I'm gonna
And
tell you why.
let
I'm
me
gonna tell you
finish what
why
I'm
not.
saying. Let me finish what I'm saying. We saw a guy in Kareem set a record that no one thought would be broken in the all-time leader in points. Obviously, that's been broken now, but he scored a significant amount of points. And obviously, scored points is not the be-all and end-all of everything. We saw him have an insanely successful career with this move that he had that nobody, maybe with the exception of Wilt Chamberlain a couple of times, could ever stop. Okay. Why would you not try and get Giannis to add that to his bag? I'm not saying every possession trying to hit Skyhook, but come on. Why has no one gone for it?
Because Mo, you have pace. The game is played differently. The coaching philosophies are different. The movement of the athletes are different. It's a different game. It's different. You're not gonna sit here and put Giannis on the box. The rules are different. Double teaming is different. The way you can defend on the post is different. All of these things are different now. And with that, Mo, you have to evolve. Giannis is playing the way Giannis should play. If Kareem was playing in this era, he would play different. He'd probably be shooting threes. He probably would. He could shoot. Why wouldn't he shoot two or three times? I'm watching Walker Kessler and these guys shoot threes. Well, why wouldn't he shoot a three? Here's a guy that scored 38,000 with 1 point. Give him a second option now. He can shoot a three. So he probably would have 45,000 points. So the game is different. We have to move on. You don't, this is what bothers me about the fadeaway shot. Why did the fadeaway shot come into play?
It's a
Because
counter.
the defense, because you had to figure out a way to create space with the shot clock. You didn't shoot a fadeaway because that was a move. You shot a fadeaway because you were just trying to find space on the floor. Great players need operating space. They need space vertically, they need space on the floor, and you have to create space. One of the reasons the sky hook was so effective was because it created space between you and the defender, which made it nearly impossible to defend or block because of the positioning of the ball when he began that move. That's you're not doing it for any other reason other than you have to find space. Kareem found space on the floor to operate, and no one was able to crowd that space. Wilt Chamberlain did it. I remember Ralph Sampson maybe a few times may have blocked it. Maybe Akeem Olajuwon. Maybe there are a few people. But overall, he found a move. That was his signature move. Most great players have a signature move, and the signature move is always to create space within the scheme of any defensive era, right? Because everyone is always watching film. What's the first thing? Well, we got to watch the film to kind of figure it out, try to break down the space. We say the same thing. This isn't new. The Skyhook created space. That's what it did. Now, why does Giannis need that now? He doesn't need that. What does he need that for? I'm gonna throw it to Giannis and let's start cutting. And let me look at the cutters. And then take one dribble, take a look, take another dribble, take a look, and then I'm gonna do. So why is he shooting a Skyhook over Grant Williams? For what?
Easy 2 points.
Okay. Well, he's got an easy 2 points by just bumping the guy off and dunking on him. Same. What's the difference? Why does Giannis in today's game need to have a Skyhook? What's the why? I don't see Wilt Chamberlain out there blocking shots. I don't see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar out there blocking shots. Now, if you're playing against Akeem Olajuwon or someone like that, well, he's probably going to have to develop another move because he's playing against another level of athlete. He probably can't just dunk on Wembanyama like we saw.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the game participates in how the players play. Why would Wembanyama be shooting a Skyhook? For what? There's probably only one other player that can affect the shot. That's Bol. So there you go. So we answer these questions, but then we want to put a move on something. For what? What's your why? Why would a great player need a fadeaway shot if no one can block his shot? No, just shoot up, just jump over and shoot over the top of him. Why fade away? If you can't block my shot, well, why am I fading away? Oh, well, that's just the move.
It looks nice.
Okay, well, if you're an entertainer, then entertain. I'm just going to use what I need to get the job done. I'm not going to do it because I wanted to look good. I understood why Kareem did it. It made sense. I understood, when I watched Karl Malone play. It made sense when I watched Moses Malone play. It made sense.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. When teams play against the Bucks, they like to create the wall, as they say, to guard Giannis to stop him from attacking downhill. So
Yes.
the reason why I suggested that is to just add some extra versatility to his offensive repertoire so that if he is frequently being confronted by this wall and not able to get to the spots he wants to get to on a downhill drive, he has something that
That's
he can.
that's called passing the ball. That's all it is. That's all it is. So they're creating a wall. Well, they can't create a wall if you pass the ball. We've seen that, Mo. Okay. We've seen guys, believe it or not, there were great players before Giannis. And believe it or not, some of those teams created walls. Some of those teams actually had rules against great players. And they've all discovered the following. Passing the ball breaks down whatever defensive scheme you're running. Why? Because the ball can move faster than you can move. So if Giannis is dribbling the ball and you create a wall, Giannis, just pass the ball. Simple. Next question. Next question. If they're double teaming you, there's a player right now that does it. Jokic, just pass the ball. That's it. If you're going to be a great player, you can't be a great player without passing.
When you watch the Bucks play, and you do see the possessions that Giannis gets a post up, and you see that he likes to go to a turnaround fadeaway shot, right? You've seen this. Everyone who's watched the Bucks has seen this.
Okay.
It might not be on the highlights, but if you watch the games, you see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
He likes that little turnaround off the post. Would you not rather see a hook shot instead of the turnaround fadeaway?
If that's his game, if that's his game and that's his move,
No, but what I'm saying is someone has taught him
this is
to do that.
no. Giannis. No. That teaching stuff is overrated too. How are you going to teach a man with his talent how to play? Let's stop with all this teaching stuff. How are you going to teach a person? Now, can you give them, if you are a teacher, and to protect everyone, I have been around some of the greatest coaches to ever coach this game. There's only one thing that you can share with another person is to equip that player with the necessary skills to function and operate under duress in a hostile environment. That's called fundamentals. If you equip your players with the fundamentals of the game, you give them options. That's called a counter to everything that you do. If someone is sitting on my left shoulder, I'm supposed to go right. Why? Because I have a skill set to do that. If someone takes that away, I should be able to drop step and finish. If someone takes away and crowds me, I should be able to go around them. So when I see coaches, teachers who equip their players with the fundamentals to counter anything and everything you do, that's excellence at its elite level. You become a master of your craft. When you have a set move that you're going to do because somebody taught you and told you this is what you're supposed to do when you catch the ball. Yeah, okay. That doesn't bother me. Where I get excited is when I see players who have the fundamentals. Their footwork is so elite that they can counter anything you do defensively because they got a counter to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I love players that are fundamentals. If you're taking away the middle, shouldn't he shoot the fadeaway jump shot? Because we know if he does get to the middle, more times than not, he's probably going to score.
Mm.
So why would I force him into a move where the defense is saying, no, we're taking that away? This is basketball. These are human beings. This isn't a video game. So the fundamentals that I'm seeing Giannis utilize on a night-to-night basis, that's pretty amazing that a 7-footer has this level of footwork and all of the things, because he was getting criticized because he didn't have what you guys call it now. He doesn't have the bag or whatever you guys call it.
That's what the kids say.
Yeah. But when you look at his footwork, when you look at his skill set and the mixture of power and grace and fundamentals, man, it's pretty amazing to watch him play.
Giannis is one of my favorite players.
Okay. Now, if he was playing with a Kareem, Kareem was playing with Magic Johnson, he played with Oscar Robertson. And if I had a 6'8", 6'9" point guard that was throwing the ball to me over the top, that's a different game. If I was playing with James Worthy and all these other guys and playing the style of play, he would play a different game. He would be a different player. Why? Because he has the fundamentals to do that. But I can assure you, if he played in the 70s, because let's go back to that, he wouldn't be playing the power forward position. And if we recall and go back in history, right, because we can revisit now because of film. We don't have reel to reel like we did back then. Giannis was playing the point guard.
Mm.
I never saw Kareem doing that. But I have seen a guy 7 foot lead the league in assists. His name was Wilt Chamberlain. But I've never seen a 7 foot point guard like we do with Giannis. I never saw Kareem saying, hey, Kareem, let's build a wall on Kareem as he's pushing the ball up the court. I never saw that. So all of these things that people are saying, there's a difference between the fan and then there's a difference between a person who's actually studying the game. I want to know why. The why for me is everything. I'm not just doing this to like, oh, well, and then I'm going to go downstairs and teach. I want to go teach my 9-year-old a fadeaway jump shot. For what? What are you fading away from? Person. What are you doing? What are you guys doing?
Well, I need that on a quote. I needed that on a quote.
Yeah, exactly.
Where are you fading away from?
Where are you fading away from? Yeah, this whole thing now of not emphasizing the fundamentals of the game is why we're in these positions because we're talking about something that doesn't exist. Giannis, if they're taking away the middle, I would hope that that young man has a fadeaway to counter that. So that way, when he starts making that move, they'll say, well, what can I do against him? Isn't that the goal when you know that you've mastered a skill where the defense is at your mercy? Isn't that why we admire the greatest players to ever play? Because they've mastered the counter to everything that you can do against them.
Mm-hmm.
Or do we just want to say, hey, just shoot the skyhook every single time? And if you don't let me do it, I'm just going to keep trying. No. You guys, I grew up in a different era. I was very fortunate to grow up in the era where actually the coaches equipped me with the skill set to be able to think for myself. Last thing, how am I going to teach a person with that level of excellence, that level of talent, and then tell them how they should play? And I've never done it myself. I'm going to go in there and start telling Larry Bird how he should shoot. I'm going to tell Larry Bird. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to go down. I'm going to go to San Francisco, fly up there and say, Steph Curry, this is how you should shoot. I'm a pro. I'm a professional, and now I'm taking I'm taking advice from someone who's never done it. What?
Well, that's what everyone seems to be doing these days.
Hey, Mo, I'm a pro now, and I'm taking advice from someone who's never done it.
Well, that's what everyone in the league is doing these days.
Oh, hey, I don't know what everyone's doing. I'm just asking the question because as a former professional player, if you haven't done it, why am I listening to you?
Well, hopefully
I
the
want to
fans
know
don't mind listening to me because we're on episode 658.
When someone tells me something, if someone tells me something, first of all, what's your credibility to even say that to me? I'm a pro. What's your credibility?
Are you asking me or
I'm asking if I'm a professional player, Mo, you are a starting power forward in the NBA. What's your credibility to tell you what you should be doing versus Giannis if you haven't done it? Because that's what I see.
Well, that would then mean there's only about 50 people on Earth that could tell Giannis anything.
Well, maybe
So
that's
if
why
you-
no. Maybe
well,
that's
even
why
less,
no one wants.
maybe
Maybe that's
20
why
people on Earth that could tell him anything ever.
And maybe that's why the game looks the way it looks. And maybe that's why, okay, the great ones always seek other players. Maybe that's why the late Kobe Bryant he knew what he wanted to see, and he sought people who had done it. That's called a mentor. Why are you seeking someone who's never done what you want to do? So I want to be a great golfer. So let me ask the hockey players how that works. I want to be a doctor. Well, let me go ask the.
But I mean, that's not quite what they're doing. That's not quite
I'm not
what
saying
they're
what they're doing. I'm just saying, logically, why would you not go seek someone who's done what you want to do and ask them their experience to share with you how they. I want to be a scorer, but I'm going to go ask Charles Oakley, how do you score? Why wouldn't I ask George Gervin? And vice versa, George, hey, tell me how to rebound. Well, that wasn't his expertise. This whole thing doesn't make sense to me. Why would you want to play from the low box? Why wouldn't you talk to Karl Malone? Well, let me go.
I know why I would.
Yeah. Whatever it is. Why wouldn't you talk to Charles Barkley? Why wouldn't you talk to the greatest?
Well, if you look at it,
players. Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you do that?
LeBron, Kobe, even Dwight Howard, they all went to learn from Hakeem Olajuwon how to play on the post. Or Kyrie, Kawhi, Jason Tatum, They all went to Kobe Bryant to learn how to master the footwork and score the basketball.
Okay. And then
So
who did he go ask? And then who did that guy Jordan ask? So we know the formula. So why are all of a sudden now we're going to trainers? We know the formula. I can tell you what Jordan did, who he asked, and who taught him.
you asking me questions I don't know.
Exactly. So why now are we asking players or asking people who've never participated? Well, you have a trainer who think about this. And I don't have anything against the trainers or anything. I don't have anything against any. Go get your information where you want to get it from. Just verify it before you get it though. Why would you not reach out to people who've done what you're trying to do? Just just give me a logical reason. If you want to do something and you have an opportunity to do it at an elite level, why would you not search that information to someone who's experienced exactly what you're looking out to do? Why would you? If you
Right.
wanted to be, if you want to be a general manager, Mo, why wouldn't you reach out to someone who's done it? If you wanted to be a head coach, why wouldn't you surround yourself with former head coaches who's done it so that you can absorb as much knowledge and information as you can? If you wanted to be a referee, why wouldn't you do that? Whatever you want to do, why wouldn't you put yourself in an environment with people who've done what you're trying to do? Why wouldn't you do that?
I don't know. You asking me? I don't know.
Well, this is yeah, this is why
This is what I
wouldn't you?
do. I do this anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know what other people are doing. I can only speak
You
for
want to
myself.
you want to be the greatest player. Let's say you had a goal. You wanted to be the greatest player of all time. Why wouldn't you go to talk to people who've been in that conversation? If that's what you're trying to do.
Michael probably wouldn't pick up the phone to me. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, I can assure you this. I can assure you this. I've never seen the man dodge any of the action. So
That's a
he would pick it
fact.
up. So he would pick it up. But the real question is, are you going to make the commitment to do it?
I, I
And
mean,
do you have the
I mean,
talent to do it?
at 30 years old and a little bit overweight, BJ, I think I'm way past the point of becoming the
Yeah.
best player in the
So
world.
okay then. So then there you go.
That's another episode of the Hoop
Yeah.
Genius podcast. Appreciate you as always, BJ. Make sure you guys subscribe to the show, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast from. It is sadly too late for me to seek out the guidance of Michael Jordan and become the best player in the world myself. However,
Right.
it is not too late to continue having the best basketball podcast in the world, which is what we've been doing for 658 episodes, and we're going to keep continuing to do. So lock in with us because the playoffs are almost here. And I don't think you're going to find a better basketball show out there. So I hope you enjoyed that today.
And by the way, Mo, by the way,
Mm.
before I let you go, you were asking about the why. Okay. You were asking the why. And here is the difference between what we do here and what other people are doing. When you start talking about greatness and people start talking about great players and all these things, Mo, I take this very serious of what I do. Yes, I would love to be a fan, but I learned a long time it's impossible for me to be a fan because I can't help but technically look at the game from the lens of saying the why.
Yeah, I hear that.
Okay. Okay. It's and I
Once
really wish I could just go to the game and become a fan
no,
in here.
once you
But
once you see it, you can't unsee it.
you can't unsee it. Every day, Mo, I spend a portion of my day understanding why things are the way they are and what I'm looking at. Because people love to make these arguments, new school, old school, this guy, this generation, 70s, 40s, 50s, whatever it is you're going. Mo, you asked a very important question about Giannis earlier today. I spend, Mo, all of my day. It's here. I can't help myself. Every play that I've ever encountered in my career, I spend learning why that play works or why that play did work. Okay. These are just some of the scouting reports that I was just recently looking at. Okay. Some of my favorite coaches of all time, okay, Mo, are right here in a book.
You're giving away too many secrets right now, B.
No. Because I want you to know the difference between me, take your entertainment and entertain yourself. But when I say something, it's not what I say, it's what I don't say because I know what you're saying and I know why you're saying it. I respected those coaches in the 70s. You know why I respected them, Mo? It's because they ushered in the 80s. And you know why I respected the coaches in the 80s? Because they ushered in the 90s. And you know, when you watch these players play, Mo, you have to respect the people that continues to push the game forward so that you can see a player like a Giannis and you respect it because, Mo, we saw Ralph Sampson. If Ralph Sampson was playing in this era, he would be Victor Wembanyama because he was before Victor Wembanyama, and there's been players before him. When you play, you find out, Mo, why you play. Why you play, Mo, is because you want to win. Okay? Some of my favorite, okay? This is when I played for the Orlando Magic, when I played for Chuck Daly. I got all the scouting reports when Chuck Daly was with the Pistons. Okay? I got every single thing from every coach, what they've done since like the 80s, Mo.
Well,
all of these things that people are talking about, it's one thing to have an opinion and you do these hot takes and all these things. That's for the entertainment. Okay, Mo? When you understand that half of the championships since like the 90s have involved literally one system of play.
oh, we're gonna get we gonna save that for a whole nother episode.
No,
We're gonna save that for a whole nother
okay,
episode.
Okay. And Mo, before you start talking about who's going to score 200 points or whatever, you better develop a system of play that's going to promote that level of excellence because no one's ever done that, just playing one-on-one basketball. And when you say the why, you got to say the why to me because technically speaking, I only deal with the facts. I don't deal with the opinions. I deal with the facts. The facts mean we got to verify it. So that's the difference. And this is why I carry this game with so much respect. I respect these coaches. I respect those trainers. I respect the coaches,
The
players, everybody, because Mo, this is you just don't have excellence. It just doesn't like show up and you just do it. These people are putting in some of these people have dedicated their life to this. Mm-hmm. I happen to be one of those people. Mm-hmm. So when you start saying things, just be respectful on what you're saying and verify it because some of us, when I leave here, I'm going to go engulf myself again in all of this stuff because, Mo, it's not enough for me just to watch the game. When I watch the Lakers, I want to know why. It wasn't enough for me to watch the game last night, the Miami Heat versus the Golden State. Warriors. I had to know why. The Golden State Warriors. I want to know why. And when you say that, and then when you say these things, Mo,
I say nothing. I'm just quoting.
No, we can quote, but there's a difference between us because we can allow the other people to be who they are. But if you want to know the why, that's why we come here because we respect the listener. Yeah. The listeners want to understand the why. You got Allen Iverson. Why was he so good? Well, you can tell me, yeah, he had a crossover, but why?
Yeah,
why?
This is why it's important to have these conversations because as ridiculous as they may seem from the outset, that all these guys are going to score 270 points.
At some point, we will, and then I'll let it go. At some point, we should go over why the game is the way it looks now.
We will.
Because all of this stuff, Mo, And I know the coaches, they will recognize some of these things because some of these things I've been holding on since the 80s. Because as much as this generation thinks the game has changed, no, it hasn't.